Hello everybody, this is Dear Mama Sal and we were live on a Friday evening, which means it's smile time. I hope you've all had a great day and, did you remember it's Friday the 13th? Yeah. How many of you are going, wow, I'm glad I didn't know that earlier today? It's amazing how just hearing about something like that changes your mentality. And so I just wanted to give you all a very warm welcome. Thank you for being here. For those of you who might be for those of you who might be new to the broadcast, try that again and get my teeth back in. Welcome to you. Feel free to watch along. That's going to drive me insane. You know that. Hang on one second. Okay, not perfect, but it'll suit me better. Happy birthday. And hello to Isabel, hello to Sandy. And for those of you who are watching for the first time, feel free to do so. Join in if you'd like to. We're always delighted to meet you people and always amazed how long some people have been watching without popping in to say hello. So just do me one favor though, if you come in and make comments, please know that these comments get removed for the replay, but I'll still be talking about them. So if you want to make a comment but don't want me to verbalize it, just put that at the end of the comment. In other words, you want the room to see the comment, but you don't want me to talk about it. All right, that should work out pretty well. If you haven't followed us here on the subscribe button, please do so and ring the bell. That will keep you informed on what we're doing. And if you know about us, you probably know we're an extended family. And so what we like to do is to keep everybody informed about how everybody's doing. For example, for those of you who know Leah, she, Wayne, and the family, were all on the Grand Princess. That was the cruise ship that got held off the coast of California and then was allowed to dock. It ended up that Wayne needed to go to hospital, not for the virus, but for another reason. The last we heard, or the last I heard anyway, is that Wayne is out of hospital, but he was separated from Leah and the rest of the family. But what I heard was that they are apparently trying to do everything they can to get Wayne to the rest of the family so they can all be together, which is wonderful. So the reason to be part of the Facebook group is just so that you can keep being informed. As I get information, and I normally make sure that people have given me information or give me permission to share the information. For example, I also heard from Ozzy this week. And for those of you who are already laughing, Ozzy is one of our much-loved members, and we don't see him very often, but we cry with laughter when we do. And so Oz said to tell everybody he's doing great, and he's about to start traveling again, so he hopefully will keep us informed of that. All right, so we got all that housekeeping stuff done, and today we're going to be doing some small time stuff for the first half, and then once we've done that, then we will get onto any general subjects that you may have. So please be aware if people start joining in late. I've asked Jody and Lauren to be my goalkeepers here, and to sort of field any questions that people are asking and just let them know. We'll deal with them after the main part of the broadcast. It's really important when we are under stress, and we are definitely under stress, it's really important to keep your sense of humor and to make time for it. And so I'm going to get pretty insistent during the Smile Time broadcast that we have enough time to smile. How many of you agree with me? Yeah, we've got enough bombarding us. And we did 2 solid hours of what to do about what's going on in the world today. We did that at lunchtime. So if any of you want any hints on things you might be able to do, you might want to watch that broadcast. But it was 2 very strong broadcasts and filled with lots of information. Now is the time for us to smile a little bit. Abraham Lincoln, can you all see his face in your mind as I mention his name? Abe said, Abe said, if I were two-faced, would I be wearing this one? And that really appealed to me. The other thing Abe said, because he said many great things, actually, and some of them very funny. Abe also said, the best thing about the future is that it comes at us just one day at a time. And how many of you agree? Our job is just to deal with life one day at a time. You know, do the best you can one day at a time. And you know, it was funny because part of what I was talking about today was about the panic buying that was going on. And you know, the good news is if everybody keeps panic buying the way that they're doing with toilet paper and stuff, you know, you do know that rationing will come in. All right. If you keep doing this, if you keep buying more than you need, what will happen is rationing will come in and you will not be able to buy as much as you need. And that's the only fair way that everybody's going to get what they need. You know, it's just like, I'm amazed people can't see that. But anyway, you heard it here. The only mystery in life. How many of you know, just before I carry on with this one, how many of you know what a kamikaze pilot is? Can anyone describe it for me? A kamikaze pilot. It was a definition during the Second World War. The Japanese had a whole group of pilots that were on a suicide mission. Quite right, Jody. Yes, they were all on a suicide mission, all right? They all left Japan knowing they would never return because their job was to fly their planes into American tankers and other planes and goodness knows what else. In other words, their only success was in death. So here's the joke, and I needed to just demonstrate or talk about the reality of what a kamikaze pilot was before I told the joke. The only mystery in life is why did the kamikaze pilots wear helmets? You know, if you're on a suicide mission, why would you wear a helmet? You know, it's just like, I thought that was really clever. You know, good question. Light travels faster than sound. This is why some people appear bright until you speak them. Have you ever met anybody that really looked quite intelligent until they opened their mouth and then you went, yeah, they should never have done that? You know, up until this point, I was absolutely convinced they were quite intelligent, but then they opened their mouth and proved me wrong. Yeah. I want to give you something. I was trying to do a little clip today about how I remember people. And it's a trick that I taught Benji and Dougie and everybody else very early on in their lives. And what it is whenever I meet anybody new, I take notes, right? And what I do is I put those notes into my PDA or my phone, whatever you want to call it. But I put the notes in there. But the trick is how to put them in there. Now, for give you an example, this afternoon I met a new neighbor. So the chances of my remembering the new neighbor's name are slim, but what are the chances of my remembering what she looks like? That's better. You know, I can look at somebody and go, oh, I know I've met her before, just by the way they look, right? Because the mind, a picture paints 1,000 words. So here's the thing. I've actually learned a trick on how to remember people's names, but I also make sure that I've got it covered by putting them, and I put them in my contact list. Now you're wondering, if you can't remember their name, how are you going to put them, what's the point of putting them in the contact list? Well, you see, what I do is I take a good look at them and I go, if I had to describe this person in one word, what would that word be? And funny enough, the person I met today, the word would have been hippie. You know, she had the long straggly hair that the hippies had, It wasn't quite braided, but it nearly was. But it was, yeah, that was the word. And she had a dog with her. And so what I did was I put her name and the dog's name and the dog's breed into my cell phone under my contact list. I put her name and then in brackets, I wrote hippie. So now all I have to do is to go into my contacts list and type in hippie. I don't have to remember what her name is, although I can so far. I just put in hippie because that's what the picture is. And it will bring up what her house number is, what the dog's name was Aza, A-Z-A. And, so this is just one of those things that I've learned to do over the years is keep notes. Now, how impressed will she be next time I meet her that I remember her dog's name? All right, because to a dog owner, that is more important to them than their own. It's peculiar, isn't it? Albert Einstein said, men marry women with the hope that they will never change. Women marry men with the hope that they will change. And invariably, both are disappointed. Oh, yeah, I did that a number of times, yeah. And, Albert also said that the difference between stupidity and genius is that genius has its limits. Did you meet any stupid people this week? Trying to think, yeah. I actually had to phone up my internet provider, my TV provider, because I noticed that with my new TV with the new fancy box in one room and the old TV with the old box in the other room, the two are not in sync with one another. I don't know if ever you've had this problem, but it's really weird. I can be listening to the one television in my living room say something, and then I'll walk into my bedroom, and if the TV is still on there, there will be a time delay. So by the time I get to my bedroom, I'm hearing the same thing again. And I'm going, that's weird. But they tell me it's very possible if you've got two different televisions and two different boxes. So I went, okay, I guess I can live with that. All the things I really like to do are either immoral, illegal, or fattening. Any of you feel that way? Jody, I am doing my first combo experiment for, hang on. This is a combo experiment of 2 parts almond flour, 1 part real flour bread. I just want to see. So far, it seems to be rising. But, will it rise enough? I don't know. We'll let you know. But I think all of you know that my fun is in trying it. And, some of you would probably do smart things like read recipes, but to me, that's not fun. My fun is, let me see if I can make that work. But I was pretty sure, Jody, that if that worked, you'd want to know about it. So that's why I thought I would try. It would be nice to spend billions on schools and roads, but right now, money is desperately needed for political ads. How many of you are going, isn't that the truth? And, Andy Rooney's very famous comment, which, I think will outlast any memory of him even. The average dog is a nicer person than the average person. And more manipulative, and thus they're trained. I have no sympathy for somebody who suffers with a badly behaved dog, right? Because it's like you taught him how to be badly behaved. I laugh, Jody, when you tell me that your dog wakes you up in the middle of the night, regularly. going, Bean would die rather than wake me up in the middle of the night. Now, he might in an emergency, of course, but other than that, not so much. Even if I kicked him off the bed by accident, he would go thud. But he wouldn't wake me up or do the same to me. How about this one? At every party, there are two kinds of people: those who want to go home and those who don't. And the trouble is, they're normally married to one another. Jodie's going, every night it's the same, right? Every night he wakes you up to play. I can remember that Jodie, it was so funny. I can remember somebody dog sitting a dog that I had once. And when it was Bud, and when I got back, the person that had been dog sitting him said, how do you cope with Bud waking you up every night by dropping a ball on your head? I said, what? I said, how do you get any sleep when Bud spends all the night just dropping a ball on your head, a wet one at that, because it's well chewed before he drops it. And I said, how did you teach Bud to do that? And he said, what? And I said, Bud would not do that to me because he knows what the reaction would be. I would not be a happy camper. My voice would not sound friendly. And this would be, get to your bed, lie down and don't move. And he would go and he wouldn't do it. I said, how many days did he do that for? And he said, the whole time you were away. I said, you've got to be joking. And he said, yeah. And he wouldn't go outside to pee unless I gave him a piece of pizza. I said, yeah, I guess who was running this show? It wasn't you, that's for sure. It was my dog. He's not stupid. He trained you really quickly. Can you imagine a dog training a human that the only way I will go outside is if you give me a piece of pizza? And he really thought that he was in control of my dog. And I'm going, no, my dog took total control of you. And the reason is because you kept thinking you didn't want to tell him off or you didn't want to give him any boundaries. It's your fault, not mine. This is a beautifully behaved dog, but he needs to know who the boss is. So, one of the things I do is, people tell me these horror stories about their dogs waking them up in the middle of the night. And I'm going, unless that dog has got some sort of urinary tract infection or something, there is no way then that should be happening. Pee, play all night. No. This is called, get onto your bed and go to sleep. Yeah. And here's the water gun to tell you that. And how many of you know this to be so true? If you want children to listen, try talking to them really quietly. If you want them to listen, lower your voice, slow your pace, and talk to them really quietly. And they'll be listening. Jodie's saying, things are much better since you've helped us with the fluff. Yeah. It's like, the thing is this big and looks like a cotton wool ball, but, has it got power? You bet it's got power. Incredible. Doctors are just the same as lawyers. The only difference is that lawyers merely rob you, whereas doctors rob you too. And how about this one? I don't believe in astrology. I'm a Sagittarius and we're skeptical. Put your hand up if you understood that joke. And if you'd like me to repeat it so you can get it on the second try, let me know. All right, Ashley Brilliant said, my opinions may have changed, but not the fact that I am right. And Ashley Brilliant also said, to be sure of hitting the target, shoot first and call whatever you hit the target. If you've ever played pool, the trick is to, take the right position. And, I used to play quite good pool in my day. And so I take the right position with the cue and everything else. And then, you normally have to call what ball you're going for. And I'd go, yep, I'm going for a ball. And somebody would go, which one? I said, I don't care. I'm not that fussy. And then they go, you have to name a ball. I said, okay, if I must, yeah. Yeah, call whatever you hit the target. Yeah, I think don't you think that's a good one, Jody? Yeah. What goals did you succeed in this year? Just keep reading out all the things that you did and go, yep, they were all my goals. It'd be very impressive. Trouble knocked at the door, but hearing laughter hurried away. Isn't that beautiful? Trouble knocked at the door, but hearing laughter, it hurried away. And how about this one? By the way, that was from Benjamin Franklin, and so is this one. Benjamin Franklin said this: wine is constant proof that God loves us and loves to see us happy. Isn't that cute? That God loves us and loves to see us happy. Benny Hill, the British comedian, said, have you noticed that all people in favor of birth control are already born? He's a very strange fellow, that guy. All right, be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. True. It was interesting. I went to go and have a social lunch with my friend Patty, the realtor. Now, no more stress about buying and selling houses, no more of that stuff going on. And we laughed. I'm not joking. And she said to me, it's so nice to see you look so relaxed. And I said, yeah, it's wonderful to hear you laugh. It was so funny, however much you try to do differently, when you are client and realtor, the relationship is different. However much you try for it to be normal, it isn't. They are still client and realtors titles involved there. And so, it was amazing. And it was funny because one of the things that came up again for them was, boy, did you pick up stuff that not many people would have picked up, on the contracts and so forth. And I said, wow, I never really realized that I was that picky. But they said, no, you really have a good eye for stuff. And I said, well, thank you for that. I'll take that as a compliment. How about Bertram Russell said, most people would sooner die than think. In fact, they often do. Hi, Lolo. How are you doing, honey? How's the little one? No, is it Parker? No. What's the little one's name? Is it Parker? Somebody's baby's called Parker. Yes, it is. It is. Okay. How is little Parker? I just think it's a great name. I also know a girl called Parker, so it's very, it's very difficult for me to. And I'm going, it's a perfect name. It could be either. And Hillary is a great mom. Of course she is. Look at Hillary's mom. And it doesn't surprise me at all that she's a great mom. All right, Betty White. You all know Betty White. Betty White said, Facebook just sounds like a drag to me. In my day, seeing pictures of people's vacations was considered a punishment. Or how about, can you imagine in my day if we all sent each other pictures of what I've been eating that day? Oh, little Parker has gained a whole pound. Aww. And the rest of us are trying to lose it. Actually, that's what we should tell Beth. That, Beth might need to start eating baby food because, that puts on weight. If there's something the nonconformist hates worse than conformists, is another nonconformist who doesn't conform to the prevailing standard of nonconformity. That's quite complicated, but I like it. Money won't buy you happiness, but it will pay the salaries of a large research staff to study the problem. Why not just spend the money? And the surest way, the surest sign that there is intelligent life elsewhere in the universe is that it has never tried to contact us. How many of you going, oh yeah, it did? Yeah, it tried to contact us a couple of times. Can anybody remember where another life form tried to contact us? Bill Connolly said, I've always wanted to go to Switzerland to find out what their army does with those little red knives. I mean, do they really use them? Or is it all a marketing thing? The Swiss Army knife, right? And this one is so true, it's scary. Also, this is by Billy Sunday, and said, going to church doesn't make you a Christian any more than going to the garage makes you an automobile. A bank is a place that will lend you money if you can prove that you don't need it. Yeah, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? We never really grow up. We learn only how to act in public. Hi, Nana. How many of you relate to that one? Where you're going, if I were the true me, in terms of Lear and the family, I did talk about that at the beginning of the broadcast, Lolo. So if you want to just rewatch the beginning later, that was one of the first things I did was do an update on Lear. Yeah. And we have agreed that for the first hour we will laugh and then we'll talk about other stuff afterwards, if that is okay. And if it isn't. Buddy Hackett said, as a child, my family's menu consisted of two choices, take it or leave it. Actually, in my household, the two choices, it was one choice. If you take it, you must eat it. Do any of you relate to that? We weren't allowed to leave food on our plate. And what was the story at that time? The poor children in Biafra, wherever Biafra was, somewhere in Africa at the time. But I seem to remember that all the time, the poor children in Biafra would be glad of it. I kept going, well, they can have it. I don't want it. But, it was a rule in my family. If you put it on your plate, you had to eat it. Yeah, everybody got to help themselves to food. But, if you put it on your plate, you had to eat it. And it was just like, sometimes I made some really bad choices. And, my eyes were way bigger than my stomach on certain things that tasted vile, in my view. But it is a fact that some geniuses were laughed at. It does not imply that all who are laughed at are geniuses. They laughed at Columbus, and they laughed at Fulton, and they laughed at the Wright brothers. But they also laughed at Bozo the Clown. True? So sometimes, sometimes they're laughing. um, I don't know who Caroline Rhea is. Does anybody know who that is? I've never heard of that name. But she said, my favorite machine in the gym is the vending machine. Charles de Gaulle, the one-time president of France, said, he who laughs last didn't get the joke. And Charles Lamb said, I always arrive late at the office, but I make up for it by leaving early. I wonder if he's still got a job. Hi, Kez. All right, so Kez remembers, if I didn't eat at dinner, whatever was left was served to me cold for breakfast. Yeah, I think our parents must have met somewhere in their lifetime, Kez, because you didn't get to waste food. And yet, I lived in a smaller version of Downton Abbey. We grew all our own food. It was, I was on a 3,000-acre farm. We slaughtered our own cows, sheep, pigs, whatever, and it was just like, there was plenty of food. So, but we were not allowed to waste food. No doubt about it. There's a voice in my head, not very politely saying, they didn't waste much drink either. Yeah, interesting how that came into my head. And Charles Schwartz, the creator of, what do you call him? Peanuts, said, don't worry about the world coming to an end today, because it's already tomorrow in Australia. Oh, see, Erin's saying the same thing. I also like to eat dinner for breakfast, but they would at least warm it up. Yeah. That's kind of choice, though, Erin. Or did they force you to eat it? Whatever you left of dinner, they forced you to eat for breakfast. Now, you know who does that a lot? Doug. When Doug comes and visits me and stays overnight, I am amazed how many times he will keep half of his dinner and eat it for breakfast. So obviously he grew up doing that. Right. This one I think is really cute. By the time a man realizes that his father was right, he has a son who thinks he is wrong. And if you've ever been a child or a parent or both, then you will really relate to that. How many of you agree with Charlie Chaplin that a day without laughter is a day wasted? One of the things we talked about at lunchtime, and we talked about just about everything I could think of that was a survival guide for the coming months. One of them was, do you know how to entertain yourself? If you get forced to stay in your house for 2 weeks, how will you entertain yourself? And, I think a day without laughter is a day wasted is one of the things that I was talking about. If you don't plan to laugh during the day, you probably won't. And if you don't learn to laugh, even on your own, right, your mental health will get threatened, in my view. One of the reasons that I do what I do the way that I do it is I want to laugh. All right. I want to be able to know that, hey, it's nearly Friday evening. I get a laugh on Friday evening. This is like, yeah, I'm very selfish. Mind you, I laugh a lot more other than Friday evenings, but to me, I schedule one evening a week that I know I'm going to laugh because I know it's good for my mental health. Christopher Morley said that high heels were invented by a woman who was kissed on her forehead. It's like, let me get up there and show you where you're meant to kiss me. Erin's saying, no, the reason that she had food for breakfast, that leftover food for breakfast, was it was not my choice. And that we did so because I'm not a breakfast person. Okay. How many of you are breakfast people? I found that since I have started intermittent fasting, I call the funniest things breakfast now. You know what I mean? Because when you're intermittent fasting, you know that you're not going to have the same sort of meals. And so it's amazing the things that I put down for breakfast these days. It's just the first thing that I had when I broke my fast, literally. And I've got to say that the intermittent fasting is definitely changing my shape, definitely exercise. I said today that I will know that I am no longer obese when my stomach no longer, if I relax my stomach, right, it still comes out. Let me relax my stomach. Right, I'm just about flat now with my boobs. So I reckon that I will be out of obese when I've actually can. There we are. I have my boobs go out slightly higher than than my stomach, and I'm getting there. I'm doing the exercise. Jody says, I love breakfast food, but I rarely eat breakfast anymore because I fast quite a bit. Yes. And that is why, Jody, I'm saying that I actually eat things at a funny time of the day. Things that I would normally eat for breakfast, I sometimes don't have until 6 or 7 o'clock at night. Yeah, but I still love to have them. And, I got caught today. I tried to show Jody that I was making what they call a souffle omelette. It comes up about this big. And what I tried to do was to actually phone her so I could show her in real time. And I have a problem with my phone in Facebook. If I turn that on in Facebook, I can't turn the phone off again. Oh, Jody's saying she loves omelets and waffles. Let's see if I can find that video. So, hang on a second. So for those of you who don't know what a souffle omelette looks like, well, we wrote a lot to each other today, apparently. There we go. Okay, I don't know if I can get it in full view. There we go. That is a souffle omelette. How does that look? Good? Tasted wonderful. And it's really easy to make. So for anybody, yeah, it was gorgeous. I made it with cheese and some of my fresh grown herbs that I've got. Yeah, I want to tell you, it's really tasty. All you do is you just literally whip up the eggs like meringue. Jody's saying I was so jealous. All right, you just whip up the eggs on their own. By the way, be very careful when you separate the eggs. If you have even the tiniest bit of egg yolk in it, it won't fluff up properly. And so if you accidentally get some yolk in it, just throw the whole lot out. But I separated 2 eggs, and you just whip up the egg whites until they stand in peaks, and then you whip up the egg yolks on their own. Hi, Beth. I had something to say to you, Beth. Oh yeah. Anyway, what you do is you do that on its own, and then what you do is you pour the egg yolk into the already beaten egg white and fold it in with a metal spoon. And it's very important that it's a metal spoon because of because wooden spoons break up the egg white in some way. So, and then you just pour it. I have a crepe pan, and I just put it on my crepe pan, and then it ends up being like this deep. And then what I do is I just lay the cheese and the herbs on top of it, and the black pepper and stuff. And then when the cheese starts to melt, I know that the heat has got all the way to the top. Does that make sense? Hang on, I got a picture of that if I can still get to it. And I want to tell you, and then you just fold it over. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I start off. Come on. So it starts off like that. And then when the cheese starts to melt, I fold it over like that. All right, so that's the reason Jodi's reminding me, because I know we researched it, all right? Wooden spoons can hold specks of fat, which the egg whites will not whip up if you've touched them with it. So there you go. Clint Eastwood, not known for being a comic, but Clint Eastwood said, "They say that marriages are made in heaven, but so are thunder and lightning." Colonel Sanders was heard to say, "I'm too drunk to taste this chicken." Beth, we were wondering if would baby food help you put on the weight that you want to put on in a healthy way? I don't know why. I was just talking about, Lola was telling us about little Parker, has put on, a pound of weight. And I'm thinking, that's a good point. I wonder whether baby food would help Beth put on weight and be a, healthier way to help her. Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien said a study in the Washington Post says that women have better verbal skills than men. I just want to say to the authors of that study, duh. And he also said, Starbucks says that they're going to start putting religious quotes on cups. The very first one will say, "Jesus, this cup is expensive." It's probably blasphemous. Be careful about that one. Helen Hightower said, "Laughing at our mistakes can lengthen our own life. Laughing at somebody else's can shorten it." And Dale Carnegie said, "Remember, today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday." Isn't that the truth? And Dave Barry, is it Dilbert that he wrote? Anyway, Dave Barry said, "It's a scientific fact that the body will not absorb cholesterol if you take it from another person's plate." It was so funny when I went out to lunch with Patty, she had real fries and I had vegetable fries. But, I just took two of her fries on principle. And I offered her in as many of mine as she wanted, but she didn't seem to want mine as much. David Lee Roth said, "I used to jog, but the ice cubes kept falling out of my glass." And David Letterman said, "Everyone has a purpose in life. Perhaps yours is watching television." All right, so Beth is saying customers are stealing toilet paper out of our public washroom at work. Now I have to hand them a roll before they go, so they have to bring it back. That is scary, isn't it? I was saying today, earlier, Beth, that if people keep panic buying on the toilet paper, it's going to be rationed any minute now. We're going to see product rationing very soon if people keep this panic buying. I just cannot believe that they're stealing toilet paper when, really the logic says that it's not a major, it's a fairly easy thing to make a plan around if you're halfway creative. And so, but it is interesting that people are panicking and without any good reason. With all due respect, if you've got more toilet paper than you can use in the coming month, you've got way too much, in my view. Dennis Waitley said, a failure is like fertilizer. It stinks, to be sure, but it makes things grow faster in the future. Right? And Desmond Morris, the very well-known guy that wrote about the animal imperative, he said that biologically speaking, if something bites you, it's more likely to be a female. Yeah. As long as people will accept crap, it will be financially profitable to dispense it. You know, it's interesting. Beth is saying that they did 250% more business today. What I'm really worried about is how many people are panic buying, or not panic buying. They're just buying up everything they can and will resell it at a profit. That's what worries me. So to me, this is like, that's why they will need to ration it, because people will be buying it and reselling it. And they say that a pessimist is a person who has listened to too many optimists. And Doug Larson said, never doubt the courage of the French. They were the ones that discovered that snails are edible. You know, you're like, really? Human beings who are almost unique in having the ability to learn from their experience of others are also remarkable for their apparent disinclination to do so. That is true. We have the ability to learn from others, and we choose not to. And Douglas Adams said, I refuse to answer that question on the grounds that I don't know the answer. Yeah, story of my life. There is a theory, Douglas Adams said, that if everyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarre and inexplicable. There is another theory which states that that has already happened. If you don't know what the costs are, feel free to ask, Nana. I don't cry because it's over. I smile because it happened. That's a Dr. Seuss quote. And, you know, I think we would be really good to remember that to keep ourselves sane in the coming months, you know, learning to smile about things, making sure we find things to smile about, is going to be really important to us all. You know, that's what we were talking about lunchtime, all the things. No, you didn't ask a question. Jody, I don't know what the costs are is a statement, not a question. Just in my view. Anyway, an alcoholic is someone you don't like who drinks as much as you do. All right, what are the costs? Do you really want to know, Nana? Become a YouTuber and find out. It is scary. And what I've said to people is, you know, being a broadcaster is the most expensive hobby I have ever had. And boy, I've had some pretty big things. Well, first of all, what does it cost for the equipment, right? I can't buy a regular computer. I have to have an upgraded computer. You know what that costs, I'm sure. And, you know, just by, I have to have a business license. I need to have a website that costs me a couple of $100 a year. I need to have a protection package on that costs me another couple of $100 a year. You know, and it just all matters. I would think, Nana, to be honest, I would think close to 1,500 to 2,000 a year minimum. And that was easy when I was earning money. Now that I am retired, that's a lot more difficult. But I would think, and then I have to do my taxes a different way. Yeah, because I get paid. So, there's all sorts of things. Analyzing humor is like dissecting a frog. Few people are interested, and the frog dies from it. Analyzing humor. Yeah, in other words, you can't analyze humor. Actually, it's a good question, Nana, and I would say that to anybody. I don't think people think about what the true cost is of anything. I think we're all going to find out. How many of you can see that coming? How many of you can see that we're about to find the real value of money coming any minute now? I keep saying to people, I am so grateful I did not sell my house and immediately invest the money into the stock market. Imagine if I'd done that, what would have happened? I think that we are going to find out this. We are literally going to, I was recommending that people talk to their grandparents and find out whatever they can about how people survived during the war. Yes. And I'd probably recommend you all do some Googling of that. It's going to be the true value of $1. It's going to be the true value of your ability to survive things. I do believe, what I was talking about at lunchtime today was that my biggest fear for people is their mental health. I don't, you need to be incredibly flexible in your mind to be able to cope with what is coming. And, because our way of life will completely change. Right? We are so spoiled, and our way of life is about to dramatically change. I think there are an awful lot of us that have done a lot of work on our emotional intelligence that will be very grateful for it in the coming months. But here's another thing. I do know that an awful lot of people who are doing the bulk buying probably are doing it for themselves. They won't be thinking of anybody else. Beth's saying that her bank closed, permanently closed, Beth? Because of the virus. That's kind of worrisome. But aren't we lucky that we've got the technology to be able to not have to go to the bank? Yeah. So what they're doing is they're making sure that everybody takes 2 weeks of quarantine, but you can't determine who's going to walk into your bank 2 days after that. But if we start doing a run on the banks, maybe they were having a run on the banks, and that's why they did it, because that's guaranteed to cause terrible problems for people. Somebody said, my computer beat me at chess one day, but it was no match for my kickboxing skills. Enid Blyton, who wrote the Noddy books. Do any of you remember the Noddy books? I still can't believe they got banned somewhere. Anyway, she said, leave something for someone and don't leave someone for something. Isn't that lovely? Leave something for someone, but don't leave someone for something. I was just thinking, one of the things I said at the Monday meeting, the craft meeting that they have here, I asked, how many older people, now I'm old, I know that, but how many older people, were in our community? Because one of the things I'm deeply concerned about is how will we look after the elderly? How will we get these things for them and make sure that they are safe? So I would ask you all, if you have that ability, think not quite so much about yourself, but think about, how do I feed my neighbor? How do I make sure my neighbor has toilet paper or something similar? And how do I make sure they have hand sanitizer? Can I make it? Can I make it with simple ingredients, like a mixture of vinegar and moisturizer or something like that? Something that will help. Do they know? Do we need to educate them? Do they know that it'd be a really good idea for them to start washing their fruits and vegetables if they're not doing it already? And again, to use a simple mixture of vinegar and water. Hi, Cindy from Hong Kong. Welcome. It's good to see you. So what I'm asking you all is, if you can, try and think as much for your neighbors. Now, is there a way of helping your neighbors without actually getting too close to them? You're right. That's the other thing. The whole thing about the social distancing is going to be really important. Yeah, Jody's saying, I'm absolutely making care packages for our neighbors. Homemade bread, hand sanitizer, and toilet paper. See? People are going to really appreciate that. Ernest Hemingway said, I drink to make other people more interesting. Interesting, Beth saying, I have to lock up my janitor's closet now because the office people are stealing my toilet paper and bleach that I need to upkeep their building. Yeah, that's what happens when people go into panic. All right, they start becoming thieves and they start doing the most terrible things. They start being more and more racist, is a known fact. So, expect that to happen. It's horrible what people do when they panic. I really urge you all to look after yourselves, but don't panic. And then you're saying, but then everybody else will have the toilet paper and we won't. Yeah, Cindy also is saying our toilet paper and hand sanitizer were all sold out everywhere. And it took over 2 weeks for them to restock. Of course, because nobody ever bought for this sort of panic buying. And the funny thing is, I was looking at the stock market price for Walmart to see what was happening, and their price is plummeting, not rising. You would have thought that their stock price would be on the increase, but it isn't. Interesting. What we're thinking of doing, and let me know for those of you who are viewers now, and what I'm thinking of doing is to put together for you guys a what do you call it? A database of the best information that we have from different viewers. And put it in different categories. Things you could be doing if you are quarantined for 2 weeks. So you don't go stir crazy. I think some of you will have already seen that one of the things I am doing to help Benji and Judy is I am phoning the children to read them bedtime stories. That's part of my new routine. On certain days I will phone the children, and I'm doing it on Mondays, and read them a bedtime story. So Beth is saying, because she works at a Dollar General, she says, our truck at work is going to be triple. Someone is trying to kill me. Well, only if you don't bring in the manpower or woman power that is needed to empty those boxes. If they triple the size, then the company needs to triple the workforce to empty it. And if you don't demand that, Beth, then you will pay the price, and that will be your choice. If they want the profit, it's all women, exactly. So, maybe that's what you asked for. Can we, when the truck comes in on Monday, on Mondays, can we please bring in 2 guys to help with all the boxes? That's what I do. You understand, they're making phenomenal profits out of this, Beth. They should be sharing that wealth. You're not only the oldest, you're also not, you suffer from an underlying condition. You should not be doing that work. And if you allow yourself to do it, then understand this is on you. Sure. Fred Allen said, I can't understand why a person will take a whole year to write a novel when he can easily just buy the book for a couple of dollars. And Fred Allen also said, the first time I sang in the church choir, 200 people changed their religion. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but I cannot believe that there is a president of a major country who is saying that he has, been busy shaking hands and having dinner with people who are now confirmed to have the virus, and he is yet to be tested. I've got to plug my computer in. I find that incredible. What do you want to talk about, Nana? There we go. Yeah, he said tonight that he will be tested, but the thing is this, how many people has he shaken hands with since? I am certain the only reason he's being tested is that, the country is up in arms about the fact that the Brazilian president got tested and he was standing next to him. That's horrific. There are people at Mar-a-Lago that have now tested positive that were also at that dinner. So it is, to me, I'm thinking about, what about people like the journalists? I'm really worried for the journalists that have to keep going to, these press briefings where he's busy talking for, hours on end. And I'm going, he has just put all those journalists at risk as well through his arrogance. And how can you tell the countries you do one thing, but that doesn't apply to me because I'm the president? Not good. That to me is not good leadership. I used to have a boss that would do that. If any of us had a cold or flu, don't come into work. We don't want to spread it around. And yet he did it all the time. And I used to say to him, it's such a double standard. Either you mean it, in which case it applies to everybody, including you, or you don't mean it, in which case we can all come into work. Which is it? He never liked me for that. All right, how many of you relate to this one? Have you ever noticed that anybody driving slower than you is an idiot? And yet anybody who's driving faster than you is a maniac? I really do want to say, I want to give thanks to all of you who were at the lunchtime broadcast and put in some great input in some of the things that we can do to help ourselves and one another. I felt really good when we finished the broadcast that we definitely had given some ideas to people that hopefully would make their lives easier. I would definitely say for those of you who are gardeners, do what you can to grow your own produce. Why? Because you know who's touched it. And you won't need to clean it the same way as everything else. And the other thing, I would really recommend that think about everything that comes into your house. I was saying at lunchtime that, I have, I bought a bottle of this, but I will make my own after it's finished. I bought it because I really like the strength of the spray thing. But, what I'm doing is I'm bringing packages into the house And what I was showing people at lunchtime, all right, so let's say that I bought this today. I'm literally putting it on the counter and just spraying it all the way around. And then spray all the packages, and then again, just sanitize my hands. And I just let the spray dry on there. Then I turn everything over and spray it, and then put it away. Will I protect myself totally? No. I just know that my job is to do the best I can. And that's what I'm trying to do. And what we're thinking of doing is to put together this database of information. The only thing is we need to be really careful. You know, my brothers, as I said, my brother sent me something this week that looked like it was from Stanford University. But as I read it, I was really concerned because something told me it wasn't written by Stanford, because Stanford would never let that grammar through their system. And it is actually amazing that when I checked it out, sure enough, it was a hoax. It wasn't true. What I really want to make sure that we do is to keep everybody as calm as possible. So part of what I would ask you is, what are you doing to keep calm? What are you doing to keep your friends calm? What are you doing to keep your loved ones calm? You see, I think if we could make a database of that sort of information, it would help a lot of people. The same way as, you know, we were talking about, you know, there's so many things that if we start to say, I'm only going to go out when I absolutely have to, and I'm only going to go out for the shortest period of time possible. Nana, I found it interesting that you were saying that they were actually spraying down the carts at Costco. You know, that's interesting. I do believe that we will see our ability to go into stores restricted. I believe they will only let a certain number of people into a store at the same time. And I also seriously believe that there will be extremely long lineups. And, you know, you will have long lineups outside the store because people will only be allowed to be within, you know, what do they say? 6 feet of each other. So that basically, this is about 3 feet from here to the end of this thing, and from here to my tip of my fingers there. So this is basically the distance you need to be from the next person, right? So if you can imagine that, that's a good one. I absolutely was stressing that, Isabel. Isabel saying, yes, Jody, I love the fact that we need to think about what you can do, not what you can't. You know, if you don't concentrate on what we are still able to do, then this will be very difficult for you. And that's really what I was saying. I feel very sorry for people who are not flexible enough to be able to think like that. So yes, there are going to be measures put in place that are going to mess with us all. I want to ask you all, how many of you still feel comfortable going to the doctor? I meant to go for an X-ray this week, and I've decided not to do it. And I know that that might work against me, but it's like, I really don't think I want to put myself in that position. All right, so Niash is saying that she's been trying to update her mom, but her mom says it gives her a headache. You know something, your mom's not well. And I would say, you know, if she wants to hear about it, she will ask you. I agree with you, Kez. I think if you do nothing but think about it all the time, and that's why I was saying what I wanted to do was to give you all a checklist. So that, you know, if you need it, to find out, are you getting depressed? Because there's certain things that will start to change if you're starting to get depressed. You know, are you still getting up in the mornings and getting dressed properly? Are you still showering it, you know, and your regular showers? You know, some people shower every day, some people don't. But whatever your usual showering schedule is, do you still do it? Do you still brush your teeth in the morning? You know, or 3 times a day, or whenever you understand those sort of questions that you need to ask yourself, because if you can stay above it, that's a really good idea. The other thing that I will continuously tell you is work on what you can do and keep doing it. Every hour, get off your butt and go do something. It's a wonderful opportunity for some of you to learn a new skill. It's a wonderful opportunity for some of you to get your taxes up to date. So Nana's saying, I've been in the doghouse all day from trying to get Rick not to have to go to the doctor. Okay? So I don't know what you were doing, but, this is like, he's an adult, though. So if he wants to go, they forgot to send in a prescription. Right, and you had the drugstore call the doctor. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Nana. Right, and Jody's saying, let's take a little time each day to check in with ourselves, to take our mental temperature, right? And do something nice for ourselves, and then do it for somebody else as well. Right, Nyasha's saying she noticed that when she was talking to her mom about what's going on, it was making her worse, like she is worrying too much. I, on the other hand, do worry, but not to the point that it makes me sick. Good. Yes, Kez, absolutely. Trying to find the right balance of thinking positive and negative about the virus. I think, Nana's saying that Rick was upset because, she interfered. Well, I think you just need to ask him a straight question, does he want to take the risk? And if the answer is yes, then fine, but you don't get to come back in the house. No, that's not quite true. But you know what I'm saying? It's just, I'm certain that he appreciates it at some level, Nana. That's the one thing that worries me as well, which is I have just refilled my prescription. But if we're still dealing with this in 3 months' time, do I want to be going out to the doctor? No, I won't. Nyasha, do you know if she values the scriptures? In other words, do you know if that is something she enjoys? All right, because the fact you want to send her scriptures, is that what she needs? All right, maybe what she needs is a laugh. I know Leah fairly well, so you might want to find jokes to send her some days. All right, not just scriptures. All right, try and keep it entertaining, unless of course she asked for them. It's not about who we are; it's about who they are. All right. And I just know that she and the family all have incredibly good sense of humor. So, just chopping and changing it a bit might be more beneficial for her, because I'm certain they don't. No, you didn't really ask. Okay, fine. You just presumed that would be a good thing to do. And that's very caring of you. And I understand that. Yeah, I just know the family pretty well. And what I would say is that I've got a feeling if you could send them a joke every day, that's something that will make them laugh. I would think that probably would be really valuable to them as well. So the question that I have as well is on our daily checklist, what I'd like us to think about is, did I reach out to somebody today? Not for my benefit, but for theirs. All right. As I think you all know that Jody, Lauren, and I have, for the longest time, made it a point of keeping in touch with each other on a daily basis and making each other laugh in some way. And, sometimes it's through how we messed up, but most times it is just, little things that we say or do. And, we are honest enough that if we're reading whatever it is and we start to chuckle, we just type back MA, mission accomplished. Okay, Nana, all the best. See you later. So, this is I think it's really impossible. Yes, Erin also knows Leah pretty well. And she's saying, I think for Leah, Bible verses are fine, but sometimes. But right now, she needs to laugh too. She's tired and she's overwhelmed. Exactly. That's why I'm saying that from what I know of Leah, she probably needs to laugh right now. All right. Nyasha, we understand what you're saying. She's saying, I just hate to see and hear others being sad. It worries me also. That means that they have control of your emotions. So be aware of that, Nyasha. I think we have every reason to feel glad that we're not in their situation. But, you know, the trick is it's all an exercise on how not to get sucked in by those emotions. And so we can care and we can do our best, but, you know, keep the boundary there that their suffering does not become yours. Because if you start suffering with their suffering, then quite honestly, you should not be helping them because you're not. Because you cannot give them a genuine positive feedback and stuff if you are suffering the same as they are. Now, I wonder if that makes sense. So there's some days, for example, where I literally have to give myself non-DearMamaSal days because I know there are days where I need to feed myself, not just help others. And I always feel much better when I've done that. So if you find that you are constantly overwhelmed by other people's stuff, start thinking about the fact, and I was saying this at lunchtime as well, you know, that we could lose a viewer. Right? I mean, if this carries on the way that it's going, and you should expect this to get way worse, way, way worse. When the real numbers of what has happened in the States come out, because I am convinced that we do not have anything near the real numbers yet, because Trump did not allow the testing to happen, because it might affect his re-election or whatever. But, you know, if you look at it and go, when those real numbers start coming out, that graph is going to go up like this, and it's going to look horrific, really horrific. And people are then really going to panic. And what I'm urging you to do is to be prepared to see it and don't panic, because we are already there. All right. And just keep being careful. Keep doing everything you can not to go out unless you have to. Just keep doing everything you can to keep anything that goes into your body, you know, as hygienic as you can. You know, rinse it off well, use soap and water with your hands. Yes, you see, Nyasha's saying, yes, I understand. For me, it's like I'm in the same situation that they are. That means that you have not got a boundary between your stuff and other people's. Nyasha, can you imagine what would happen to me if every time I heard somebody's sad story that I got to feel it? I feel it in the moment, but then I stop and go, if I feel the same as they are feeling, then I cannot help them. And Jody is saying, Nyasha, I was very much the same way. I would take on every emotion of those I cared for, to the point that I became ill. Thankfully, I met Sal, and she helped me put boundaries in place. You can too. Jody, let me ask you, do you feel that you care less for those people by putting the boundary in? Or does it allow you to care for even more people because you have that boundary? You see, that is what you learn, is that if you can protect your emotions and not let them overwhelm you, that you will be able to help more people. At the moment, Nyasha, you've already got your mom that you need to worry about. You've got your family, right? And those sort of things. And then you took on to also support Leah. Leah has an awful lot of support. All right? Right. And Jody's confirming that since she learned how to put the boundaries in there, she doesn't feel that she gives less, but even better, because I'm healthier emotionally. Absolutely. Nyasha's saying our country has another positive case, and though I'm worried for myself, I can't help but put my mind out there for my family as well. Yes, your family around the world. I'm certain all of us who've got family anywhere else. You know, I keep listening to people and saying, well, hang on a second, you know, I know somebody who was on the Grand Princess with her whole family. All right. So yes, we all are affected by this. And I think it will become even more dramatic for us when we lose somebody, or when somebody that is in our close circle ends up contracting it. But the other thing is this: if you look at the numbers, you know, that I am more vulnerable than probably most of you guys. Maybe with the exception of Erin and Jody, maybe Kimmy, all right? But, you know, just by virtue of my age, if you see all that they're saying, that my age works against me, my years of smoking would work against me, you know, all sorts of things. I've got an awful lot of things going against me. But I don't feel that I will be as vulnerable as some people if I continue to protect myself and my mentality. And I'm going to continue to get out and walk whenever I can, but I will, you know, walk on my own. Because I think that fresh air will be really important. Even the people, I was seeing an interview with somebody who is actually in Italy, where they've locked down that whole part of Italy and northern Italy. And she was explaining how that works. Would anybody be interested in hearing how they've done that? You know, where they've literally locked down a whole area. And, you know, it was interesting to me how they're coping with that. Right, Niash is saying, I don't know why, but I felt I was obligated to do something. If I don't do anything, I feel guilty without actually having done something. Yeah, that is on you. I don't feel guilty. Jody's saying, I take medication that severely lowers my immune system, and I have asthma, but I'm not living in panic. It's just using common sense. Absolutely. So the thing is this, that Nyasha, you worrying about Leah is not helping Leah at all. All right. And if you are telling her that you're worried about her, that probably is less helpful. All right. So, all right. Erin said she would be interested in hearing because they all have family in Denmark, which has been locked down. Nyasha, you're doing a great job. You really are doing a great job. And this is where it becomes important. All right. Hi, Anna Marie. Good to see you. Yes, you have to hear about how they're doing. Okay. So this woman, I'm not sure if she was living there permanently or what, but she was explaining she's in a lockdown situation in northern Italy. And she was saying that they still do leave the house to go shopping. Only one member of the family is allowed to leave. And they have to be carrying a note with them to explain why they are out of the house. Does that make sense, Anna Marie? So they have to be carrying a note that says, I am on my way to Walmart because we have run out of da-da-da-da-da. All right? So they have to be carrying that because the police will stop them. The police see anybody out of the house, they will stop them and say, why are you out of your house? And by the way, there are only certain stores that are open. Supermarkets are open and pharmacies are open. Everything else has been closed down. So my question is, how would you survive 2 weeks without a car? Because I didn't hear about gas stations. Could you survive for 2 weeks without a car, or even a month without a car? That would be a question you need to ask yourself. Now, Jody's going to go, yeah, we learned because we couldn't have a car anymore. You've learned how to do it. So think about that, because that's a possibility. If they shut every business down, think about, do I have enough wool so that I can knit toques for the homeless for Christmas? What do you need to start making Christmas presents was another suggestion I had, because this would be a good time in case you get locked down. It's right. So Anna Marie was saying it'd be very difficult for her because she doesn't live in the city. Yes. But what they're saying, Anna Marie, is that when they lock down like that, they are aware of that. And so what they put into place is that the military will come and find out what your needs are and either help you get them or bring you basic supplies. All right? So that is part of why they have to have the military involved, is so that they can keep check on everybody. Why did this have to happen? I want to tell you, Nyasha, that is a question that will drive you insane. So don't ask that question. It happened. It is what it is, right? Somebody made a mistake somewhere, and it is what it is. So it is going to ruin the world economy. I totally agree. But that's, we will survive this, all right? With the right mentality, we will survive this. How many people are going to be without a job? Every business that closes down is a whole group of people that are not going to have a business anymore and not going to have, a business to go to anymore. So we are going to have really big problems unless they get a handle of this very quickly. And the fact that the whole world is suffering, the whole world is working on the answers, right? What is unforgivable is that the United States held back so long on the testing thing. That's, in my mind, that's unforgivable, because they have put the whole country and maybe the world at risk because of it. But it is what it is, so we have to deal with it. I am probably, they will have put Canada at risk because of it. So, but it's just like, it is what it is. Complaining about it is not going to fix it. Expecting what's going to happen to be realistic is what's going to keep me sane. All right. And to make sure that I get up every day and I have a routine that I follow, and that I keep myself healthy. And by the way, part of my responsibility here is to help keep Jody healthy and to continue with the broadcasts. Hopefully that you guys will want me to do that. And so that we can all talk about it and talk realistic stuff. Be very careful about what you read and what you believe, because you're going to have a lot of stuff come at you that is absolutely untrue. So be very careful. Check and recheck every bit of information. All right. And this already has I've already caught 2 things that people sent me that were bogus. And I just, I checked something out on something called Snopes, I think. And, it tells me whether it's a hoax or whether it's real. Right. So, yeah, to me, Nash is saying, Jody, please stay safe, because the broadcast needs you. We all need each other. All right. That's what we're here for. We're an extended family, but we all need to help one another. We need to help each other put down boundaries. We need to help each other learn tricks on how to survive this. We need, if we choose, all right, to do the best we can together and not feel alone, because we're not alone. And I am so grateful for today's technology. I don't know about you guys, but it's like, it is so important. It's not an app, it is a website, Nyasha. And if ever you get something and you go, I wonder if that's real, go to that website and just put in, for example, I got something from my brother that supposedly came from Stanford University. So I went to Snopes and I said, Stanford University advice on the virus. And it immediately came back and said, bogus. It's a hoax. It was just like, no, maybe. And I was really quite pleased that I was able to do that. Yes, Cindy's saying, let's practice good hand hygiene. Avoid touching our faces before we clean our hands. I want to tell you, somebody was telling us, Cindy, I think on Friday. No, not Friday. Today is Friday. On Sunday, I think somebody was telling us that we that we touch our faces as many as 2,000 times a day without even thinking. I'm making a point of wearing my glasses out. I wear them normally to drive, but I'm keeping them on because that stops me touching my eyes. And, if you can, if you've got an itch on your nose, try not to use your hands to itch your nose. Very important. Hi, Autumn, good to see you. And I'm sorry you can't sleep. The face touching is really tough for a lot of people, Anna Marie. And one of the things you might want to think about, if you can find one, is one of those complete drop-down Perspex masks when you're out. Not to stop the virus, but to stop you touching your face. I think people will do things like that. By the way, Lauren very kindly sent me a link to how to make your own face mask. But what I realized was it was one of those ones that are like a surgical mask, and they will not stop a virus. All right. It's a very clever idea how to make it. And I'm not surprised that Lauren found it because she's very creative. But it's like this will not stop the virus. Safety goggles, a really good idea. Jody, I know it would look horrific, but you know what I was thinking would probably be a brilliant idea for us, for those of us who have CPAP machines. That CPAP mask, would, protect quite a bit. If you've got a full CPAP mask and wear your glasses, you'd look horrific. but you're not going to breathe in a lot of germs that way. I think safety goggles, those are the ones that actually frame your face. Really good idea. So I think you're going to see those sort of things come onto the market very quickly. I think, I noticed that a receptionist had a complete drop-down mask. Now, the virus can get underneath it and still at them, but, it's stopping her from touching her face all the time. And that is the important thing for us to realize. Yeah. Jody, I agree. And walking around with my CPAP mask on outside, is pretty horrific. But, the thing is, if I had to, and if it could save my life, I guess I would. The other thing is, I was thinking, if the only ones, yes, that's why I wear my glasses. Cindy's saying the glasses act as a reminder too, for us not to touch our eyes, nose, and mouth. That's why I keep my glasses on. Because I realize I'm not going to be, itching my eyes or fixing my eye makeup or doing whatever, as long as I'm wearing my glasses. Yeah, I want to tell you something, Jody. I'd look pretty horrific as well. But you understand the lengths to which I am now thinking outside the box about what have I got that I could use. I don't know why. I'm thinking I'd like to do some checking on what microns is filter paper for your coffee maker. All right, so Autumn's saying, I know kids aren't really affected. What about kids with asthma? Anyone hear anything about that? My son is 16 months and has asthma. He does have medication. Just curious if anyone here knows. I was listening to something today about it, but I didn't hear the bottom line on it. You're not changing the subject, honey. Isn't that sad? Beth is saying it's kind of weird that the only aisles that are not being shopped completely out is the pet food aisle. I hope people also think of their animals' needs, not just their own. I was busy talking to the pharmacist today and saying to them, asking him, what do I need to advise my viewers? And he was saying, definitely get some flu medication, get some dry cough mix stuff, a DM if you can get it, and make sure you've got ibuprofen, otherwise known as some sort of generic Advil or Advil itself. All right, so approximately 20 micron for coffee filters. I was thinking if you were wearing 3 of those made into a mask, would it help? I don't know. But, you know, some of you are good at sewing. You know, what if you sewed 3 of those together? I think, you know, if you needed to, it would be better than nothing. Ibuprofen, you know, I call it ibuprofen, as you know, but definitely have some of that. I've got Tylenol, but I've also got ibuprofen as well, the generic, extra strength in case I need it. Jody's saying we're getting Taylor's food tomorrow. Yes, so don't forget your pets. And by the way, if you know older people in your neighborhood that have got pets that might not have thought of that, maybe get some extra pet food. I've got dog biscuits in my cupboard. I don't have a dog here, but I've got dog biscuits. Why? You never know. So this is like, and the other thing is, you know, that we certainly can help feed more than just dogs. You know, what about cats? What about bunny rabbits? What about parakeets? Whatever. You know, think about that. What can we be thinking of? Let's try and help people remember what they need. You know, if any of you went, gosh, dog food, I never thought of that, right? Thank you, Beth, for thinking of that. That was one of the things that I was going through with the pharmacist as well. You know, think outside the regular box and don't overbuy, because what's going to happen is we're going to have rationing very quickly if people keep clearing the shelves like this. And by the way, you will start seeing people charging exorbitant prices because they'll be reselling what they bought in the panic buying. They'll be reselling them. All right, so Autumn's saying I didn't even buy cough meds yet. I keep sending my husband back to the store. Yeah, I definitely said to my pharmacist, you know, I am a pre-diabetic. I have this history. What should I have on hand? He also recommended, by the way, to make sure you've got stuff like Pepto-Bismol, and also, what's the other thing? Like Imodium. No, what else did he say? It had to do with upset stomachs. Not because the flu will give you that, but, you know, it's something, yes, antidiarrheal medicines of some sort. So you've got, yeah, anti-diarrhea and also stomach flu. All right, so thank you. So those 2 things are, make sure you've got some at home. I've got both of those here somewhere. Gravel is a really good idea. Oh, is Lauren still online? Jody, can you make a note for me to talk to Lauren about gravel? Yes, allergy meds would be a good idea for those of you who have allergies. Make sure you've got enough. Keep those on hand. And, you know, the main thing is, yes, you're there. Okay, Lauren, I was thinking when I was driving to the pharmacy today, my mom used to swear on gravel type products. I'm not saying gravel itself, but any sort of product that is made for motion sickness. She used to use that as a sleeping tablet, and it worked really well for her. She never needed to get a commercial one because that would do it. So I was thinking you may want to try that rather than the, you know, the too strong sleeping stuff that you've been given, to see if that happens. I know I can, for example, if I'm having problems sleeping, I sometimes will take some NyQuil and I will just knock me out. But obviously now that I'm pre-diabetic, I need to be careful of that. But, you know, that really does help me if I'm not sleeping well. So there are other ways without taking those pills that make you feel so groggy the next morning. So it just came to me when I was driving. I was thinking, my mom used to swear by that motion sickness stuff. It wasn't called gravel. Give me some other names, people. Anyway, one of them. that's well known. Beth saying, shot of whiskey puts me to sleep. Yeah, exactly. Did I find a syrup for diabetes? I never wanted to recommend. They never wanted to recommend one. I haven't actually done that because I'm pre-diabetic, but I'm certain we can research that, Isabel. I'm certain if we ask Mr. Google, there's going to be a recommendation from the Mayo Clinic or somewhere. There we go. Cough syrup, what they recommended, what my pharmacist recommended, was to buy one for a dry cough, because if you end up getting this, it's going to give you a dry cough. So you need a DM one. Oh, Tums, that's interesting. Yeah. Think about what you would nearly, I sort of think of it like, what would you take on vacation with you, all right, when you're away from your home? All right, so think medications. If you've already thought about the obvious things, the other thing is, I was saying at lunchtime, and I really believe in this, I have bought quite a few cans of chunky soup. All right, number of reasons. Number one, they are only 200 calories for half a can, right? Which is pretty good. But you can use them in so many different ways. You can use them as a meal. You can use them, you can liquidize them and use them as a sauce over something. So there are lots of ways in which you can use them and live for a couple of days, and it's got all the fruit, all the vegetables you need, right? I've never heard of that. Jody, could you make a note of that so I can look into that? So it's a motion sickness medication. Huh, I've never heard of it. I'm going to spell it because I don't know how it's pronounced. Meclizine. Meclizine? Is that right? Dramamine. There you go. That's exactly what it was. Thank you, Anna Marie. My mom used to take Dramamine. I knew it would come over. It would come up. Yeah. Dramamine. That is what my mother used to use. And she used to say that was the best sleeping tablet she ever had in her life. So for those of you who are starting to worry yourself enough that you can't sleep, think about this, The other thing is really start making sure that you keep some links ready for when you can't sleep, all right? I would start getting links together of things you can watch when you can't sleep. Number one, something to make you laugh so you relax a bit more. Benadryl is good for sleep too, okay? That's good as well. I think Dramamine is the brand name of Meclizine. Yes, it could well be. Yeah, CBD oil works well for sleep as well, for those of you who can get your hands on that. So, you look at it all and you go, not everybody's able to get that oil, Beth, but I appreciate that. So what I'm looking at is, what can we do? I want you, every time somebody starts panicking you, to go, yeah, but what can we do about that? Let's think, right? The best way to help people is to get them out of panic. And, you might want to say to them, gosh, that's funny. When I first started to see that, I was feeling the same way. But now I just keep asking myself, yes, that's a reality. What can I do? All right. Exactly. And Cindy saying something to make you laugh is so important, Cindy. I would, start binge watching every possible series that is funny if you need to. Yeah, Beth, I'm aware of the difference, but even so, not all countries allow you to have CBD. All right, that's why I was saying if you can get it. Not all countries have approved it. Stress weakens our immune system, absolutely. And so that's why I'm saying what we all need to work on is that's why I did the program at lunchtime on being proactive. Yes, Beth, but you're in the States, honey. And what I'm trying to explain to you is not everybody lives in the States. Not all of our viewers are in the States. We have viewers all around the world. And, they might not be able to get it in Algeria. All right, they might not be able to get it in Tunisia or in Egypt or whatever. That's the point that I'm trying to make. So when we look at it, let's keep asking ourselves, did I make myself laugh today? Don't wait for somebody to make you laugh. Did I do something about making sure that I kept my balance? My balance is my hygiene good, right? Did I shower? Did I clean my teeth? Did I do whatever? Did I get some exercise? And I was explaining at lunchtime, how I literally did nearly 10,000 steps yesterday in my house just by unpacking. So if you end up getting quarantined, think about what do you need so that you completely repaint the house, right, in that 2 weeks. You could use that 2 weeks to be very constructive. I was saying, if you end up being quarantined for 2 or 3 weeks, what new hobby do you want to play with? Did you always want to learn how to play the piano? Or, in which case buy a keyboard? If you, take this as a golden opportunity to have 2 or 3 weeks uninterrupted time to do whatever. That is, if you can think of it that way, you will survive this. But if you are worrying yourself stupid because somebody we know got infected, that will not help any of us, all right? And that is my bigger concern, is everybody's mental health. So let's keep being honest about it. Let's keep talking about it. Right, Beth is going, my new hobby for me would be sleep. Yes, exactly. So do you understand what I'm saying there, Beth? Is you could see it as a very positive thing. I've got to come up with 3 baby blankets in the short term. So, I'm trying to remember who the third one is, but I know I've got a third one. Yeah, I think I know. Okay. So, that's what I'm busy working on. Let's do the countdown. We've got 11 months and 7 days. That's actually 12 months then, roughly. Until the next Valentine's Day. We've got 286 days until Christmas. Some of you will want to use that time to start writing your Christmas cards, or at least the envelopes. Let's get that done. Yeah, work on your taxes, do your Christmas list, or even make your Christmas presents. We've got 8 months and 22 days until those cards have to be in the mail. Imagine if all the envelopes were already written, how much easier that would be. For those of you who are US related in any way, how about you've got 8 months and 17 days until Thanksgiving? Start planning your Thanksgiving dinner. All right. And writing out the shopping list and everything. If you get caught in where you have to stay in, think about doing that. And the Canadians, you've got 7 months and 2 days in which to do it. Are you going to be able to finish your taxes? I know some of you have done it already, but some of you may want to work on your taxes during that time. In Canada, we've got 1 month and 17 days, and in the US, you've only got 1 month and 2 days. We've got Easter coming up at 29 days. The question is, how many of you will continue to go to church? Some of you will stop. I was horrified, quite honestly, to hear the Pope, although I understood his point, to hear the Pope say to his priests, be courageous and visit the sick. And I'm going, but won't that spread the virus? So, to me, it's like, be careful if you're going to visit the sick. Be really careful. But you got 29 days until Easter. We've got just 5 days until spring. Is that possible? Huh. Yeah, I guess it is. Lent, we've only got 16 more days. All right, so Lauren is saying our church is very close to being closed down for that exact reason. Absolutely. Autumn is saying, I'll be home with my kids as per usual. Just no library, no outings, lots of slime making and crafts. Paramedic hubby is working a ton. Our church is cancelled already. Right, Autumn. And that is the whole thing. I was talking to somebody today who also is in a line of business that is suddenly very, very busy. And I was saying to them, don't worry, I'm here to support you. I know what line of business they're in, and I know that they will need support. So think about that, right? All those people who normally get their comfort by going to church are going to need more support. Think about who you know that is a churchgoer, and do what you can to support them, because they won't have that feeling of oneness going to church every week. The good news is that Mercury, for those of you who follow Mercury in retrograde, it is now over until June the 18th. We can't blame it on Mercury anymore. So this is going to be a very difficult thing. I was saying at lunchtime as well, and I want you to think about that I woke up today with a cold. Does that mean that I've got the virus? Not necessarily. I woke up today with my muscles aching as well as a cold. Does that mean I've got the virus? No, it means I've got a cold. And then I also got on my total gym yesterday and did some new exercises that strained a few muscles. So my next point to all of you, and I will continue to say this every time, is be very careful that you don't jump to conclusions, or that your friends don't jump to conclusions. Ask a few questions, all right? Because sometimes symptoms of the cold are just the cold, right? If they persist, if I continued with the cold and ended up with a dry cough, all right, and had problems breathing in any way. The one thing I said that some of you may want to do is to get a benchmark of how long can you hold your breath, right? And try that. Just breathe in with me and just hold your breath just to see what is normal for you. Hang on, let me try and do that. Yeah, 30 will do. Okay. So do you understand? I am capable of breathing in and holding my breath for 30 seconds without coughing. Think about that, right? So if I check every day, can I still hold my breath, even with a cold? Can I still hold my breath for 30 seconds? I'm pretty sure that my lung function is okay. Does that make sense? But if I find tomorrow morning that I can only hold it for about 15, I might need to put a red flag in my mind. If that continues, Autumn, you hate holding your breath. Well, fine. Don't hold, don't hold it then. I'm just trying, for those of you who want to check to make sure that if because this virus affects your lungs. Now, not your feet, it affects your lungs. And by the way, for most people, from what I've heard, if you wait until you have all the symptoms of pneumonia this could be too late. So I want to be checking, do I still have good lung function? I am going to be doing everything I can to keep my lungs clear. All right, I'm going to get lots of exercise. The other thing is, if you are finding that you are getting too much mucus or whatever, do you know how to get rid of it? I can remember once I had to have an emergency type operation, but I had a really bad cold and they couldn't do the operation until they cleared my lungs of mucus. And what they did is they sent me to a respirologist place. And all they did is they had me lie on my side, and then somebody would just literally go like this down my rib cage. Okay. And I want to tell you, it didn't take very long before I was spitting out mucus, right? And then they'd turn me over the other way and do the same thing again. And, so this is like, think about these things we can do for ourselves. Now, I can't do that to myself, but I sure as heck could find somebody and I could tell them how to do it to me because I know it works to help clear my lungs if I need to do that. That's how they clear the lungs of cystic fibrosis. You see, that's what happens, Jody. It is a fibrosis that happens. Yeah. So what I'm thinking about is not what can't I do, is how many things do I know I can do? Yeah. So I don't want to mislead anybody, and I will be trying to be really careful. But on the other hand, I think we have an awful lot of information to share. And that's what I would like to do. And I would wish you all, to be really aware of who you are and who's important to you. And just to make sure, because we don't know, who's still going to be around in 6 months' time. Right? I'm pretty sure that this, in the very near future, is going to have, already the whole world is working for an answer to this. And if you think back logically, how quickly did they get a handle on the SARS epidemic when it came? All right? And it hadn't spread nearly as far as this one. Well, Isabel is saying, thank you for being here tonight. You are a very reassuring person. Isabel, I thank you for that. And that's why I'm broadcasting. And that's why I will continue to broadcast. And if I find that people are getting more and more panicky, I will probably broadcast more. Because it is the one thing I hope I can do to help everybody, including myself. All right? Is to be as normal as possible and get as rational as possible. And, I am pretty sure that we're all going to get gouged any minute now to try and, when we try to buy toilet paper, we're going to be buying it online from people who are making a fortune because they bought up all the stock. So I just want you to know that expect it to happen. Don't be horrified when it does. Expect it to happen. I personally I did buy some hand sanitizer type stuff to make my own. And I did do that. Where is it? Yeah, I made my I already had this container that hangs on. I've got another one that hangs on my keychain, just like this. Autumn's saying you're like a mom for me tonight. Well, that's a great compliment. Thank you. But I have, this one here that I keep near my computer. How many of you still go to work? How many of you, I'm thinking, Anna Marie, have they closed your school? But, how many of you are still going to work? Because I'm hoping that workplaces are giving you good guidance on how to sanitize your desk, how to sanitize your keyboard, what to do. By the way, I thought it really interesting. Jody came up with a really great idea, which is that she happens to have a lot of those alcohol wipes that she uses for doing her diabetes testing thing. But she's giving a whole lot of them to Lionel, her husband. So when he goes to the ATM, he wipes it down before he presses the buttons on the ATM. All right, so Anna Maria is saying all schools are closed in her state for the next 10 days. Will you still be teaching them online, Anna Marie? That would be my question. Autumn's district is closed for a month. Yeah, I think it'll differ in different parts of the world, different states. So what I want you to do is not think about, oh my God, what if they close down my city? I would say it is very likely that they could, in which case, what do I need? All right. Think proactively. Don't say, oh, well, my city won't happen. I'm thinking, what if they close down my little neighborhood, right? Because we got 100 units here in this area that I live in, and they could just close off the gates that go in and out of here. All right. If we had a panic here, would they just close the gates down so you can't leave the compound? I live like in a community. And so I'm thinking, how would we survive? Not just me, we. How would we survive? Because that to me is important. And I know you're very caring people, and I know you care about a lot more than just yourself. But as I said to Nyasha, if you have a problem setting your boundaries down and you take on other people's difficult stuff, stay away from people telling you horror stories, all right? Because it's not going to help you survive. It's going to just stress you out completely. I started off by talking about Leah and the family. And, we continue to hope that they make it through quarantine. Hi, Chloe. Good to see you. Yes, Anna Maria is saying, I'm concerned about quarantine, especially since I've been reading what Leah and her family are enduring. But remember, she got put into special quarantine because she was on the Grand Princess, right? That's a different sort of quarantine. Most of us will get home quarantined, right? They're going to say, stay home for 2 weeks. And what I want you to think about is, if I got that message tomorrow, what haven't I got? And go get it. And I was talking about this at lunchtime, but for example, Jody really needed something that they had stripped off the shelves. Jody found somewhere 80 miles away that had it and ordered it. All right. So this is what you're going to need to do if necessary. And she paid for the shipping and everything. But why? She wanted it. Hi, Sakura. Good to see you again. So what I'm saying to you all is, as I said at lunchtime, be proactive, not reactive. Expect to be quarantined and be ready for it. And if you are, when they do it, you're not going to panic. You're not going to sit there going, oh, I wish I'd thought about this. And that's why we're going to do everything we can to get a checklist of things that you might want to think about. For example, medications. All right. Have you got flu medications? Have you got any medications you and your children might need if you got locked down for a month? If you get the opportunity to chat to your physician, one of the things I was saying, those of you who are on narcotics of any sort because you have to be for pain or whatever, make sure you talk to your healthcare provider and find out how are you going to get that if you end up quarantined. All right, what is the protocol? I am trying to find out in Canada, if I end up needing some sort of medication, I don't want to go to my doctor necessarily because that could be a hotbed for where I could pick it up. And are they going to change the law? And are doctors going to be allowed to prescribe directly to the pharmacy and I can have it delivered or go pick it up at the pharmacy? I hope so. I think they're going to have to do that. Otherwise, a lot of us are going to be putting ourselves at more risk than we need to. So take it easy, but don't panic is my whole thing. And also, when the people start trying to literally by selling you toilet paper that they pulled off the shelf so they could sell it to you at 3 times the price, do everything you can not to buy it. Don't reward them. rather let this thing be done and let them sit with, cases and cases of toilet paper and don't give them the pleasure of making a profit from it, because they denied everybody to have it. Do not be surprised if they start rationing things now because of this panic buying. If it comes in, don't complain about it, be grateful for it. Because if they ration it, we will all be able to buy our fair share. That will be the difference. Let's prepare, not panic. There you go, Jody, great one. So everybody, look after one another, but most of all, please look after yourselves. Make sure you are checking your mental health. Make sure you keep control. And if you start to panic too much, right. See, Sandy just realized test strips. I realized I could use some more. Get them. Right? They last forever, so don't worry about it. So thank you all for being here so much, and tell us how we can continue to help you, and we will do what we can. I am definitely not going to tolerate a whole bunch of panic in my broadcasts. I am really going to concentrate on how do we not think about what we can't do anymore. Let's us think about what we can. And if you're interested in doing that, then keep watching, because to me, this is the best help that I know how to give. Now, it may be that I start to panic, and I truly hope that if that happens, that you guys will be going, hang on a second, Sal, what can you do, all right? Because I'm human too, in case you didn't know that. So everybody, we'll see you on Sunday, and we will continue to do a Soul Sunday. But what we will do at this point onwards, we will always do the front end, doing the topic, whatever it is, like Soul Sunday. But the second hour, or whatever is left of the broadcast, because the Sunday one is a bit shorter, we will discuss this stuff if you need to and come up with new ideas. You thought I was an angel? Oh, how cute is that? Aren't we all? Sakura? If you think about it, aren't we all? You see, and that's what I believe. Some of us hide it pretty well. And I am really going to use this time to concentrate on, I am so close to coming out of obese, people. I'm going to be doing my exercises to get rid of this. And I think I'm about, this far away from dropping down enough that I won't be obese. And that is my goal. You see, something I can do to help myself. And I can do it every day. And I'll let you know when I get there. Remember to laugh. It's really important for your mental health. And watch all the funny movies you can, and watch them a second time if you need to. You are responsible for keeping your balance, not anybody else, all right? This is DearMamaSal saying, I trust that we will all look after one another, because that's why we're here in the first place. And I send you a big hug. And it's okay to have bad days. It's okay to get scared. Just keep talking about it and just do the best you can. And if we can, you need some help, just reach out and let us know, and we'll, do what we can. This is DearMamaSal saying, this could get worse before it gets better. Expect that. And then we will help each other get our way through this. And I'm going to say goodnight for now. And I'll see some of you on Sunday.